Okay. Hi, hello. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. It's Friday. It's because it's Friday, we're going to have a good stream. We're going to have a fun time. But before we get into that, we got to deal with some serious stuff on the top. Obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, and obviously, you know, my voice is not necessarily the one that needs to be loudest at the moment, but I do have some kind of a platform, and so I feel like it's important to talk about it. There's a lot of injustice going on in the world, and it primarily focuses around racial justice and the Black Lives Matter movement, and it all kicked off with the death of George Floyd. Now, I've been pretty vocal on social media about my allegiances, alliances in terms of that thing. It aligns with Black Lives Matter. I set a bot in the chat to put links to donations and protests and petitions that you can look at. And I've done my best to retweet and share the voices of people who are being affected by this and protesting and using their platforms as well. Today, in the Supreme Court of Ontario, there was a new bill passed, essentially giving people an out to serious crimes that are committed under the idea of being intoxicated to the point of not being autonomous. And I've already had arguments with people about it, people I don't know and people I do know. I want to make it very clear that my stance is standing with people who are victims of sexual assault and people who are victims of physical assault, who would be affected by this, because this is the kind of thing that sets precedent and sets any movement back generations. It's a dangerous bill to be signed because it can be used by anyone, be it the Brock Turners of the world who get intoxicated to the point where they don't know what they're doing, and they rape and they sexually assault and physically assault people. So I've put a command in the chat, which, again, I always say that this feels really disingenuous. I've put a command in the chat to a petition that you can sign to let your voice be heard, to the Ontario Premier. I'll be clear that this is something that's an Ontario bill, an Ontario political issue, but, you know, precedent is precedent, and these things have a tendency to snowball. And I don't want it to seem as if I'm putting this above the other political things that are going on at the moment that are going up. Like, I don't want it to seem that it's going above Black Lives Matter, it's going above racial injustice or anything like that. But this is something that's very important to me as someone who's known victims of sexual assault and seen the process that these people go through. That's so incredibly hard already, that could easily be made harder by something like this. This is not something that I want to argue about. This is not something I want to discuss. My view is my view, and I'm sticking to it. I encourage anyone who is a fan of mine or who's in my community to look into the story and sign the petition, as well as supporting the other movements that are going on right now, be it Black Lives Matter, the George Floyd Memorial, anything like that. As I've stated before, the Minecraft runs we're doing during the week, the money that is being put towards it is getting donated to charity. I wanted to make sure I did my part, whatever that may be. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I want the rest of the stream to be upbeat, and I want it to be about entertaining people, and I always want this stream to be an escape, but we live in times right now where an escape is not as important as facing reality. And to people who think they don't have a voice, they don't have a say, I urge you to think differently. And to people who want to play devil's advocate, I urge you to think of the other side of it. Because people's actions are being called into question. And if you make the explicit choice to do something that leads to someone else's harm or someone else's life being impacted or damaged, it should be on your head what the consequences are. And I will stick by that until the end of time. I cannot be convinced otherwise, and I do not need to be convinced otherwise. That being said, yeah, just look after each other. And I like to think that the community that I've built up and garnered has the right place in mind and a good heart. And with that in mind, I want to continue with the stream. So I hope I put my statements properly. I didn't write any of this down. I just wanted to start with it off the top, because those are my real feelings, and that's what I wanted to broadcast.